Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's so good to see you here. And I'm on time. Can you believe it? And I kept the date. Can you believe it? I do thank you for being patient and flexible with my schedule because it is unpredictable. Anyway, but we're here and we are going to connect with the masters and the spirit guides today in the Akashic Records. Got a few questions. And somebody actually mentioned that they are not aware when I go live. So I think if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you should get a notification that I'm going live. But um, otherwise, the other way to find out is to sign up for my newsletter because it's infrequent. Yet I put the schedule in there, and the most I would say reliable is Facebook and Instagram because if I make any changes to the schedules, I'm going to post it there. So, anyway, thank you for joining. I'm Betsy Grady. I work in the Akashic Records. I've been doing this for about 9 years professionally. That's all I've been doing. And I love it. I love it every day still. So, what I'm going to do is read the Akashic Prayer. Then I will take a second to connect and I will see what the spirit guides and masters have to share for us today. So I always like to bring in a general message first, and then I will hop to everybody's questions. And if we have time, I will answer some ones on, let me see here. I was just reading comments, but if I have time, I will read questions from anyone joining us live. So, if you are having a session with me individually, I would guide you to close your eyes if it feels right to you. While I read the prayer, if you can, let your hands relax with your palms up and open because that puts your body in a receptive state. And if you just want to be here and the way you want to be here, you do that too. There's no rules. Okay. Okay. I ask God if He will have a shield of love and truth around you permanently, so only God's love and truth will exist between you and me. I allow the masters, teachers, and loved ones of you to channel through me out of whatever realm to say whatever they wish. I ask the permission of the Lords of the Akashic Records, so I'm able to look into the records of you and remove whatever information I'm allowed. Okay. Okay. So, a general message from the guides today is, and I always look up when I am connecting. Again, if you're new to me and my work, but having a session with me individually or, with a loved one or something, it is exactly like this. Okay, so the guides want to. Okay, there's two things they want to talk about today. The first thing they said is role models. They want to talk about role models, and they would guide you to really look back at your life and go back as far back as you can, even as young as you can remember, and think of who were role models in your life. And they said you may even want to make a little list. Positive role models, less than positive role models. Sometimes people fit in that less than positive side because it teaches us how we don't want to be, and that shapes us too. So we're always guided positively or negatively. It's what we do with the information, what we do with the experience, and how do we use that to kind of step into that higher version of ourselves. So we're here on this journey. We are always stepping into that next highest version. At least that's what we're spirit guides are here for, why you have them individually, because they're guiding you to that next best place for you, the next highest version, whatever that may look like. So sometimes people regress. That's okay. That might be part of that journey. That's, we have to go to parts of ourselves and remind ourselves we don't like being here and we don't like being this way. And then we work harder to get back to where we were, and we have more fortitude to stay there. So that happens too. Remember, your journey is not judged by anyone in the divine, I would say, world. So be mindful you take that approach with yourself also and with others. So going back to role models, they would have you revisit those lists, and then they would have you really look at where you are today and really begin to understand, how are you a role model for others? Maybe it's one person in your life, maybe it's even strangers you meet on the street. Like, what are you living out? Is it like, what is your story you're living out? How do you treat people? How do you think about people? And more importantly, how do you treat yourself, and how do you think about yourself? And because that's the ultimate role model, is we are being what we want to see more of in the world. So they want you to really take a hard look at that, and how are you being a role model, and maybe who for, and how else do you want to show up? Like, what are some other things that might be important to you? If you look at your list of role models and you like this, and this, can you say all of those things about yourself? And they would just have you do a little checking in on that. They would also see that not so positive list of role models. Are you subconsciously, have you adopted anything on that side, and is that something you want to let go of? And you may even ask, this is always a great exercise too, some of your friends, maybe family members, how they see you being a role model, and what else do they see in your, I guess, potential, your opportunity? Like, because sometimes people see for us so much more than we see for ourselves. And, it's nice to be guided by those that love us. How many of you, your family's like, oh my gosh, you should go for this, or you should go for this. But inside, that little voice is like, oh, I'm not sure. So, on some level, it has to resonate, and yet you also have to be aware if there's a little fear in there, or a little, don't quite believe in myself. I don't see myself as that person. Yet I would tell you there's some truth in that. So be open to what your friends and family see in you, and let yourself start to believe that. Secondly, with role models, this isn't the second thing I was going to talk about, but this, with role models, they said they would ask you, they said to focus on the children, focus on the children. Some of you may not have children, you might not even be in the world of children. Yet they said your wisdom and guidance is still shared along with others that are in that world of children. But you also might be guided to volunteer somewhere, whether it's at a school, part time, just a classroom attendant. Oops. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. Volunteer at the Y. But they're just saying children are our future, and it's where our best investment of our energy and time can be. And, well, not best, as in it's the best, yet it would be a really positive place to spend your time and energy. And if you're not called to children, which some of us aren't, then maybe it's you help the adults that are uh, working with children or have children or whatever that may be. But the bottom line is, watch how children are being treated, and where might you be a role model in that. It could be a very small, in your personal family. It could be in your community. It could be in blog, posts that you're writing and putting out there could be uplifting messages. Yet, role model is a big deal right now, and so they want to put a real big spotlight on that. The second thing with that they wanted to bring in today, is health, and how are you taking care of your body, because that too is, as part of that role model energy. It's, be how you want to be here. If you It's like, gosh, if you want your children and your grandchildren or your friends or your parents, siblings to live, a longer life, you can't tell them you got to go get healthy. Yet you can lead by example, and you can take care of yourself and hope it inspires someone. And no matter what age you are, no matter what your story is, it's really pay attention to that. And that could be mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. And they would have you really look at even those four things you might write down on a piece of paper. And it's like, how am I honoring myself in all four of those categories? What am I doing for my physical body and needs? And how am I really treating, this temple with care and compassion and nurturing? And same thing with the emotional part of your body, the mental part, and your spiritual part. So if you're here and you're listening to this, that's some spiritual nurturing. That spiritual part of you is getting nurtured, hopefully. Um, but at least you're reaching for it. You're reaching for some divine wisdom and divine guidance and divine connection. And so that works. So that's the other thing. Just remember how you're living is also what you're demonstrating to others, and um, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, and that is a role model too. Yeah. Okay, how you guys joining? All right. I am going. Oh, look, somebody said I'm definitely called to children. First took care of my 7 little brothers, then my children, now my grandchildren, and one's autistic. Yeah, wow. You really are working that child energy this lifetime, which I think is so lovely. And that's not always the easiest place to be. Yet remember, children, grandchildren, they are our future. And it's like, gosh, we need to empower them with the understanding that they're a faceted being, and how are we coaching them or leading by example in the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual way? And from your adult vantage point, you can probably see what might be helpful to add into their experience. You can always have them tag along with you. We can't force our wills and our desires and our uh, what we think is best for someone on anyone, and we have to honor everyone's boundaries. Children, it's a little different because we have to be parental. We have to keep them safe. We have to teach them how to uh, think in wellness, if that makes sense. But still, we can introduce them to spirituality, or how to handle their emotions, all of that stuff. When they're older, they can begin to choose for themselves. Well, the neat thing is, if they've had positive role models in this lifetime, and they're going to have some not so positive ones too, but helping them identify that and helping them being able to talk about that is just huge, so huge. Okay, I am going to jump into our questions. Get them here. Okay. Okay. I am working on a creative project for my business that I feel was inspired. I feel a bit blocked, and I'm not sure which way to go forward in order to complete it. Do the guides have any suggestions for me? I want to speak to my guides directly. Can they provide their names? Okay. I'm working on a creative project for my business that I feel is inspired. I feel a bit blocked. Okay, so your guides are telling me this is a natural process of creating, and so it's normal to feel blocked at times, and then it's normal to just feel like you're in this creative flow that you don't know where everything's coming from. And so they said, be with what is, and trust that when the time is right, it will all come back. Now, they do want to be careful to say sometimes when we feel blocked and we look at ourselves being blocked and we look at the work that we're not doing, we can perpetuate it. So there's a real fine line there. It's almost like what you focus on expands. And so if we just think we're blocked and this isn't going anywhere, we can start to talk negatively about the project or about ourselves. And so they want to guide you and anyone listening that's having that same issue to be mindful of your thoughts. And if you could get into a place where you're completely distracted and you've lifted your vibration, whether you're doing something totally different, maybe it's out walking, and maybe it's watching funny movies or whatever just lifts your heart that gets you out of the head. They said that can unblock the flow. So the most important thing is when we're in creative projects, if we see that project has an agenda for us or we have an expectation it's going to do something for us, that can also cause the block. And so they said it's go back to the inspiration. So what inspired you? What lit you up with this idea? And get back to like why that feels so good to you to create. And again, not about what it's going to do for you, not about how it's going to appeal to other people, because that's when you start to slow things down. So get back into your heart, the heart of inspiration. And if it is something, like I said, that's walking outside, being with a friend, whatever that might be, get back into your heart, and that will unblock the flow. And remember, it's kind of like if you're a writer and you're writing something and you start to focus on who's going to read it and what audience you want, you're probably going to slow the process down. So you got to always stay with that internal guidance system of inspiration. Like, what led you there? What about that idea felt so good? All right, let me see. So your guides, let's see what names they have for you. Well, I had to sit and think for a minute and just make sure I was hearing correctly, because the first name I heard was Molly, and that's like a common name. Not that they don't use common names, but it made me wonder if there's somebody in your life named Molly. But that's the name they're giving me. And the other one that they're giving is Sabrina. So I would probably look up, I think I always say this too, those names, if they have a spiritual meaning, if there is a divine being with those names. And Molly, I'm thinking Molly. And as I said, divine beings, I saw Mali. So I'm not sure what that might mean, but that feels fun. Okay, thank you for that question. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right, here's one. If we play music that our loved ones enjoyed, do they enjoy it now in spirit? If we play songs that they recorded, do they recognize themselves singing? That's fun. And that is yes and yes. So, what is most important to them and where they really find delight is yes, hearing that, yet more importantly to them is how you are feeling. It's like playing that song, or songs, whatever that might be, that makes you feel closer to them and brings a warm feeling to you, that's what they really just get off on. I don't know how else to say that, but that would be their jam. It's more about how you're feeling and how you're responding and how you feel your spirits just rise, if that makes sense. Um, they love it. They absolutely love it. They love to be remembered, and especially for the things they created here and shared with you. But more importantly, it's about how you feel and what's coming up for you, because they live vicariously through you. And so, what you're feeling and enjoying and appreciating, they get that too. And so, that's really where that's at. So thank you for that question. That's great. Okay. We have decided to sell our lake cabin and put it out there to an interested buyer, giving him a great deal before listing it publicly. He is working on a plan to buy with his nephew. What do the guides say about this as a potential sale, or is there another buyer in the cards? Okay. A little more coffee here. They So the guides actually are responding to you with a thank you and blessings to you and gratitude to you for extending this great deal to this person. It feels like a really heart connection for this man and his nephew, and something in you recognize that. And so there's a lot of gratitude in spirit. There's something on his journey that might prolong it. um, Not quite sure what that's about. It's I am hearing though to give him time, give him time. Now, if you're on a deadline, you have to honor that deadline at some point. Yet it does feel like there's just such a heart connection there for him, and it's just one of those things I'm hearing is that you would feel really good about. And I think you already do. So, right now, I would say 90% it will be him. Now, there is something with his soul's journey, and I just can't quite figure that out. And maybe it is the unity in the family that will happen over this. But there's still some stuff I would say on his journey that's working out. That's important for him to go through. So if you can be patient, I'd totally guide you to be patient. I don't know. There's something just really loving around all of that, and I, not like I said, 90%. I think it's going to be him. Is there a 10% chance it'll fall through? 10%, I would say, and there will be someone else. I don't think it'd be a problem if he doesn't make it. I would say, as the buyer, the one to come along next, it just looks really fast. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. And I'm not sure what his journey is about that might extend it a little bit. And sometimes I'm just hearing to say people value what they work for, and so whatever stuff hoops he's jumping through right now, may be really on purpose. So there's something bigger going on, I would say, with his story, his family, that side of things. And the thing on here, they're showing me, they're sending you just feathers. Look, I don't know what kind of feathers. It looks like kind of gray feathers, but longer. But they're just saying, stay in that lightness of where you are, of your heart space, and let the feathers remind you to stay light. Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. Something in that just feels so sweet. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay. Okay, here's another one. All right, right now I'm still in chemotherapy and I'm struggling physically and financially. Can you please tell me what my life looks like after chemotherapy? Okay. I imagine that's a really challenging journey for you. So I would say first thing, remember that on a soul level, your soul chose to have this experience. And even though, our conscious human minds might think, golly, there's no way I would have chosen this. On a soul level, you chose it. And so they're actually asking you to look at this with grace, look at yourself with grace. And hang on one second here. I'm asking about the financial piece too. Um, well, this is going to be a general question, but it applies to you. They said oftentimes people will find, and this is not everybody's journey, but many people's journey with money is oftentimes you might find yourself in a place where your needs are more than your bank account, and or where you're struggling financially somewhere. And sometimes that is designed, I would say, on purpose by the divine beings, kind of like your soul might put in a backup plan along the journey somewhere, but it's designed to have you really dig into your talents, dig into your gifts. And it's like so a lot of people don't believe in themselves, or they think they didn't come here with any gifts. Now, I'm not saying that's you, yet that design of having to dig in there and lifting yourself up and creating something from this place. And sometimes we are creating for money, and that is, our motivation. Yet, hang on here. That puts a little incentive behind it to give it a little more of a push, a little more of speed. And so it really makes us think creatively of what else can I do to, be open to receive more money. And so remember, when we're in the flow of money and we're grateful for what we can share and put out in the world, we start to really enjoy that flow, that circle. What we give out comes back. And sometimes when we don't have a lot of money, we're reluctant to part with it. And what we're really saying to the universe is, I'm not in flow. I can't participate in this flow. And it's a little scary. Yet when we can trust, I would say, in the goodness of the universe, in the goodness of our actions, and not being careless. Money brings up a lot. There's, so many limiting beliefs that we got from childhood, and especially, we're not that far off from our parents, well, not our parents, but maybe grandparents and their grandparents, being in the depression. And so money's a vibration that's unfortunately passed down each time, getting a little bit more watered down, if that makes sense. Yet there is some of that there too. So be mindful to clear any of that ancestral influence around money, and realize you can create your own relationship with it. So there's a lot of stuff packed in there. But I would say part of the design is to get creative and realize you still have things to contribute. And they would have you look at this time as almost like a real time of purification, like your landscape is just being reset, so to speak. And what will still be there are the gifts, your attitude, your connection to the divine, and that will all propel you forward. So it is, in times like this, we just have to be so mindful of our thoughts and our belief system and what stories we're telling ourselves in our head. And again, if we kind of look at being like blocked in the creative element, earlier question, or we look at financially I'm struggling, it's so hard to move beyond that because we just keep seeing the struggling and the struggling and the struggling. And so the guides are saying that you have to shift your focus and just keep reminding yourself what we focus on expands. And so when you can start looking around and you see healthy people, or you see people thriving and living in vitality, and you see people appear to, have their financial, relationships well. It's appreciate that, give thanks to that, thank the universe for letting you see that and recognize that. And so we start focusing on vitality and wealth, and we can acknowledge that it is available. And there's a part of us that's not, we have to be careful that we're not like, oh, I wish that was me, I wish that was me, I wish that was me, or I don't have that. Again, appreciate the abundance and the health that you're seeing around you, and that will start to turn your experience towards that too. That's big work that you're up to, and your guides want you to know they're so proud of you and excited for you, and they want you to know they acknowledge this is really big work that you're up to. And you've still got more on your journey um, that will have some rewards in it. Oh, that's tough. Okay, let's see what we got here online today. Let's see here. Okay. Right. Any messages from the guides? Well, let's see here. All right. Okay. Here we go. Hi, Betsy. As a male, I'm working at integrating my male energies with my female energies and moving away from the traditional patriarchal male. What messages do my guides have for me about this? Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Um, really wonderful for you and to be conscious of, especially because, this new, I guess we could call it, paradigm that we're moving into is really calling males forward into wholeness, with both of those aspects of themselves. So that is very much appreciated. And you might find that you start working with males more in that way, that your guidance and influence, that you've been accustomed to, might really start shifting to reflect that. So it feels like it's another way for you to create and contribute also, and that you're going to learn much along the way. One of the things the guides are saying, this is really cool, is as you work with people in groups and things like that, when you start working specifically with men, it's going to be very educational, because what I'm hearing is that you will learn how they're thinking and what's contributed to that thinking. And a lot of times it is fear and anxiety. And but it's breaking down those old beliefs that even men have. And we're generalizing here for sure, yet it just feels really important for you to maybe start a men's group and help them learn to get in touch with themselves. And the guides jokingly said a lot of women will be really thankful. there's there's a call for men around the globe to be stepping into these positions and leading and guiding and being a role model for other men. So let me see if there's anything else specifically on that for you. So, one of the basic things that they said is you're already pretty good at integrating those. Um, it's kind of like the heart and the mind, it's the intuition and then the action. And so, how do they, if they said they would just have you think of, when we come from the heart, we get certain experiences. When we come from the head, we get certain experiences. When we come from when the heart and head are married, we're coming from a place of wholeness, where they can support each other. So it's the same thing with the intuitive mind and the action energy of the male energy brings the action to do it, the gets things done. Not that females don't, but females draw on the male influence within them. So when you can come at something, your life, your relationships, projects, from those two being in sync, it's like, wow, there's it's unlimited what you can do, what you can create. So even so part of it is you might have all these lovely ideas, and then you might feel uh, like you can't move forward or you're stuck in that. So they said sometimes it is just putting one step forward, it's putting one foot on a path. It is that simple to get that momentum going. So I'm hearing you are right where you need to be. And hang on here. Yeah, I would say you're teaching wholeness within, and that is about uniting those two sides. Um, but it does look like you're meant to teach that. So let me know if you have any other questions around that or if that made sense or not. Okay. All right. So any messages from the guides? This is from Rayo. Okay. Well, that's a real general question. And the guides are probably going to say just being here, receiving the messages from other people's questions is where it's at. I will ask them if there's anything for you specifically. Let's see here. All right, hang on here. Oh, well, this is so cool, and this is going to follow on the question before. They said uh, they want you to think of the sun's rays um, surrounding you and guide you to embrace the energy of the sun. And the sun is masculine energy, and the moon is the feminine energy. So it's like, gosh, when we can live in both that sunlight and then the moonlight, that's a little bit more of what we're talking about. So, of that wholeness, the male female sides of us. So think of it as the moon and the sun. You are, equally connected to both. So for you that ask the questions for your spirit guides, they're telling me you need a little more sunlight. Now that could be physically, could be spiritually. I'm not sure what that might mean for you, but they would have you be open to receive that. Okay. Oh, I see your little sun emoji. That's great. Okay, what are my guides' names and any message from them? All right, let's see here. I'm hearing the first one is Teresa. Hang on here. Give me 1 second. This is an unusual name too. Guides are just so funny sometimes. They're also giving me the name Wyatt, and that's Wyatt. Teresa and Wyatt. Hang on here. They said there's also another one around you that comes in uh, when you need a little bit more help, named Laura. Okay, let's see here. Oh, it's so cute, y'all. I don't know if y'all can see all the comments, but the person who asked about the spirit guides and the sun came through. Comment now is heading on a holiday to the sun on Tuesday, Venice, Italy. Well, how about that? So intuitively, you already know what you need and you're going for it. So that's pretty cool. Okay, you guys, let me get my little angel cards. And let's see what the guides, see the little cards. I'm not going to look. I'm going to see. Gosh, we're coming up. This is the last week of October. November 1st is Friday. I always love the end of a month and the beginning of another month. And I really like to look at what that month meant for me. And what November might hold for me, or what do I want to see, by the end of November. What do I want to be grateful for? It's just a wonderful time to reflect. And if y'all did, I don't know if y'all ever do your cards for the year. Let me show you. I'm going to get my little list out. So every year, my husband and I sit down and we draw our. We'll just pick card decks, and then we will draw like what January might mean for us, all the way through. So let me see. Well, my November cards, the Five of Swords, challenges, problems, more about a learning curve is what it's about. And then Starfish Spirit, open to infinite possibility, fortunate time. So that's interesting. You know what? And I had a dream last night. I was asking about something for the future in November. And in my dream, I was driving down the road and there was an accident here that I missed. There was an accident here that I missed. There was another accident. And I was like, oh my gosh. But when I woke up, I thought, okay, my November might have some obstacles in my path, but at least I got around each one unharmed. So that kind of goes with my cards for the year. And if y'all didn't do them for the year, you can still do them for November and December and see what you get. Okay. And I just had a little feather pop out of my cards. All right, hang on. Okay, let's see here. We got, well, here's that light, wisdom. So things might come to light for us this week. And we got discernment. Really be mindful of your choices. I would say discernment in everything. Who you spend your time with, what you choose to give sustenance to your body, mind, and spirit. Wisdom and discernment. Those are our words. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And like I said, if I should be here next Friday morning. If not, I'll move it to Sunday again or something like that. But I will certainly give a heads up. Again, I do that on Facebook and Instagram. That's the quickest way to find out the schedule or any changes there. You can get messages to me, questions submitted at betsy@betsygrady.com. And I always go through the ones in my email first. And then, of course, join us live and share your questions and your feedback there. It's just fun to share. It's like we have a little community here, gathering and uplifting each other. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and so it's great to take this little positive break and come together and uplift one another. So thank you for letting me share this with you. Thank you for being interested, and I will see y'all next week. Okay, bye.